Hello, and welcome back to the Triangle Business Podcast. I'm one of your co-stars, Joey Nattel, followed by,
Scott Moore.
hey y'all, welcome back to the show. Today, we're gonna do a little special episode. I know we mostly talk about small business and all things related, but we are also career coaches as well as part of the services and what we do. And so we thought we'd spend a little bit of time on talking about that topic because I think, as Scott mentioned, some people who are small business owners or entrepreneurs here have spouses, friends that are not. So we want to support those and just give some insight on that.
I
So,
would hope that your network is big enough that you know people that are not small business owners or
yes,
entrepreneurs in
yes,
your life. If not, meet more people. It's
yes,
interesting to see how the other half lives, right? But
yes.
particularly if you are financially enmeshed with somebody
Mhm.
who is a uh, works in corporate, has a job, a career, then you may occasionally want to have a resource to send them to, and
Yes,
we're always happy to talk to those folks.
absolutely. And so I'd like to start off with one of the more broad questions that I get asked a lot. I've got a lot of career coaching clients currently, and usually one of the first meetings, you're like, how do I find a job? Or like, what do I do? And some people have no idea where to start at all. And so, like, yeah, I think we'll just throw it there. And so, like, when you get that question, Scott, like, what comes to mind? Like, how do
I
you like
mean,
to answer that one?
how do I find a job is it's like it's kind of a drive-by question, right? Like,
Yes, it
you
is.
know, I mean, uh, usually I respond with saying, "Are you clear on what kind of job that you want?"
Hmm.
And I mean, when I meet people who are looking for career coaching, they're on a spectrum from I know exactly what kind of work I want to do. I maybe even I'm at the company I want to work at, but I want to get a raise or a promotion.
Hmm.
And so how do I do that? Like that's I call that the kind of the shallow end of the pool because
Yes.
it's a lot about determining, what does success look like within the environment that you're in and who do you need to convey your value proposition to in order to get that raise
Hmm.
or that promotion. And then, but I would say more often than not, they're in the deep end of the pool, and the deep end of the pool is I don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
when I say when I grow up, I mean I'm like getting this from people who are in their 40s and 50s and 60s plenty of times.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's a hard thing to admit that, like, I've spent my most of my life doing things that didn't bring me joy or didn't fund my life economically the way I needed it to, or
Yes.
sometimes they're like, what I do doesn't have any particular meaning in the world.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, I mean, folks are usually somewhere on that spectrum if we're going to work with them.
Yeah. Like, on that note,
But
what
until
comes
you
to
know that, what would be the point of finding a job that isn't any more enjoyable or pays more or anything than the job you currently have? Um, and so like, how do I find a job? Is like, are you clear on what you're looking for?
Yes, I agree. I always like to ask those questions as well. And one thing that came to mind about what you said is lately I've had a lot of career coaching clients who are like, oh, I've got gaps in my resume, or like, oh man, I've just hopped around in so many different career fields and things like that. And I said, oh, that's probably a good thing nowadays. Maybe not in our grandparents' generation. So I've heard, the rule was go to school or don't and get a job and stay there for 20, 30 years. And if you had a gap in your resume, it was a death sentence. That is not true anymore, depending on the field, but most fields. And so it made me think about, that expression that everybody knows, a jack of all trade and master of none. But that's not the full quote, which is a jack of all trades and a master of none is better than a master of one. And I like that concept a lot because if you've done a lot of different random things, it's actually probably going to make you more creative and a better suited for particular job roles and things like that. So like always, I wanted to mention that real quick because it came to mind. Um,
Yeah.
Throwing the same question toward me about like people ask me that, I'm like, what do you want to do? They usually say, I don't know. I said, what do you not like doing? Which they usually answer that for me without me asking. I'm like, cool, awesome. And so then I ask them like, well, are you looking for a job, a career, or calling in your next step?
Right.
And they
I think
usually
that's an
don't.
important distinction.
Yeah. And so they usually don't know the difference. And I'll explain it for the audience. And you fill in the gaps if I miss anything, Scott.
Sure.
And to be clear, we want to make a disclaimer like neither of these are good, bad. Like they're all good. And it's just a choice of what you want. One's not better than the other in any way, shape, or form. I view a job as being a place that like, you're there, you're doing your thing. Maybe it pays well. Maybe you're happy with it. You could be perfectly happy with the job, but like may not have any investment and you may be totally cool with that kind of thing. I kind of view a career as it's less about long term, more about like there is advancement. You can move up if you so want to, if that's something you want to do. Um, I think those are the big two distinctions for there. And I view a calling as like this is what you're meant to do with your life. Like this is what you are literally here on this planet to do. And a calling does not have to necessarily make any money because you can have a job and or a career and also do your calling because a calling could be a hobby as well and just brings you joy and maybe you support others or just support yourself in some way, shape, or form. So if I miss anything, let me know on that,
I
Scott.
love that. A, a thing I've been using for years and years, I sent it out to lots of people. It's been around on the internet since just about the time I got started coaching. Um, Check out Dan Pink's TED Talk about autonomy, mastery, and purpose.
We'll put it in the
And
show notes.
um, uh, I really like the RS Animate version of it, where somebody like draws what he's talking about. Um, and it came to mind just because I was thinking about whether it maps onto that. Like if you're good at your job, then you have mastery. Career probably incorporates some amount of autonomy where you doing it the way you think is best is probably how you advance
Mhm.
through the stages of a career. But and purpose is very wrapped up in calling. Like what I do matters to the world and
Mhm.
makes the world a better place.
Yeah.
Uh, broadly, or maybe just for one person. Um, um, anyway, it's a cool video. It's actually ultimately about what motivates people in their work
Mhm.
once money is not really a factor.
Right.
I mean, people tend to think that money is the main reason that we work, and like the study that they did, that's the basis of that TED Talk, is that they discovered that once people are making an amount of money so that the life that they want for themselves is more or less working, money stops being a good motivator. And in fact, it actually paying people more money causes a degradation in their performance if they don't have any of these other factors. Um,
Interesting. I did not know that.
that's probably a topic for a whole other episode. I will say this, when we talk about there's no value judgment about having a job, a career, or a calling.
Mm.
I mean, there are those of us, I'm going to include myself, and I think you also, like what I do is amazing because it provides for me financially. Um, I have a tremendous amount of freedom in how I do it and who I work with.
Mm.
And I also believe that it is making the world a better place a little bit
Mhm.
at a time. So I would describe my business as a calling under the definition that we're using there.
Mm.
That's not should not necessarily be everybody's goal.
Hmm.
Like it is a lot of pressure to put on the thing that you do 8 hours a day to do all of those things. And it is perfectly fine for you to get a sense of like, look, it pays the bills
Hmm.
and I don't hate it.
Hmm.
And it allows me to have freedom in other aspects of my life. And it also allows me to do things that I think make a difference, whether it's charitable giving or volunteer work or spending time with people, helping others. Um, Making your work a one-stop shop to have every one of those things in your life, that is a lot of pressure to put on something.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
that's why I'm like really resistant to any idea that there's like a job is worse than a career is worse than a calling. I don't believe that at all.
Yes. And a lot of people ask me like, well, how do you find your calling? That's a great question. There's a great book called Follow Your Dharma um, on that topic. And one of the big takeaways that really resonated with me in that was that she equated to finding your calling, your purpose as to writing a book. And so those three, generally three types of people who, how they write a book. There's the people who write a page a day. There's the people who are like, maybe they go off into some vacation home or just lock themselves in a room for X amount of months and just get it all done in one go. And then there are the people who just like, I'll just wait till the muse strikes me, till the feeling hits. And so, like, these are all interesting ways to do them, and we do them in shape or forms in areas of our lives. But I think the most interesting one is she gave an analogy about the third one, of this guy who worked in like tech for 20, 30 years. And then one day he's like, I think I want to take a pottery class. And he did. And he was like, holy crap, this is what I do with my life. Quit his job, became a master potter, and had a full-time thing. And that's very rare in a lot of ways. But like, what's
Yeah,
interesting about that one,
as a career coaching move, I wouldn't advise that.
correct. And I
But
was about to say, like, that's one of those things where like you won't know until you get out into the world and try new hobbies, try new things, and it may never happen if you just wait for it to happen, kind of thing. And that's a whole philosophical conversation we could talk about in general. There's this fella I know in the area, fascinating gentleman, and he tries a new hobby like every month. Last time I talked to him, he was doing gem cutting,
neat.
and like he is like very cool dude, but like he is actively out there experiencing the world on a very rigorous schedule and enjoying it. So like, I'm
I
not
love
saying
it. I don't
Monday.
know if I ever told you, but my beloved departed friend Fiona,
Mm.
um, one year she was like, I'm going to try 50 new things.
Yeah,
And she
yeah.
reached out to all of her friends or networks and was like, what's something that you know a lot about that you can show me on one of the 50 weeks this year I'm going to be doing this?
Hmm.
And that's how I met her, is because my friend Kevin said you should try out going to a role playing game weekend, and brought her to Camp NC Game Day, and
Oh man.
that's how I met her. And um, but she learned how to play StarCraft from her friend Brian, who's like a
Wow.
really good real-time strategy game player, and she tried out trapeze,
Wow.
and she tried out blacksmithing. She's
Wow.
the first person to ever strike a piece of hot metal on my anvil after I did.
Mhm.
And it's because she knew more than I did, because she had taken a class for a week one time.
Wow.
So 50 new things. Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a kind of a digression, but it also, like, if you want to know what to do for your job, your career, your calling, you have to try stuff. You're
Yes.
going to have to develop some kind of self-awareness for things that you're great at. We have an exercise for this.
Yes.
The three lists of 15
Yes.
that I give to most of my career coaching clients so that they can get a sense of the commonalities and the things that they're great at and enjoy, and the
Hmm.
things that other people see them do well.
Yes.
And there's a lot of transferable skills in there.
Yes.
like you learn like, oh, you're really good at taking care of people.
Hmm.
Or you're really good at noticing something that other people didn't notice. You're really
Hmm.
good at finding awesome vacation spots. Like, have
Hmm.
you ever thought about being a travel agent, right?
Right.
And but if the thing that they discover is it's okay for me to be great at these things and just keep them as hobbies,
Hmm.
and they don't have to be my full-time job, that is fine with me.
Yes.
So,
And one thing I also say, just kind of we'll call it like a blueprint of like, what are the things career coaches work on? Like, one, obviously resume. And I like to articulate that is a marketing document. It is not your everything. Your LinkedIn is your everything. That should have everything nowadays, because that's probably looked at, I would say, more in some ways than a resume, um, debatably. And then excuse me, the resume, obviously, cover letter, but like, and I always like to tell people about the resume is like, what you really want to put on there nowadays is not what you necessarily did, but how were you awesome and how did you make the company more awesome?
yeah.
Be saving time, saving money, could be getting awards, could be doing a new process, things like that. And that's something I help people with because a lot of people have a really hard time, you know, acknowledging that they're awesome. So I'd love to walk them through that kind of piece. And then, but more importantly, because that's what everybody thinks about, just like, oh, let me get a resume, let me apply to jobs, which is demoralizing, in my opinion, or
You know
soul
what?
sucking.
Something just occurred to me when you were saying that. And I'm pretty emphatic about believing that networking is the best way to get a job.
Mm,
But I will tell you, it just occurred to me. Do you know how many job applications I've filled out in my life?
how many?
One.
One? Really? Wow.
My first, actually, not, that's not, it wasn't even my first job. I had had a job already for a while in high school. I was a janitor.
Okay.
And then after I left college, I put in a job application at a video store.
Mm,
You see, kids, back in the day, people used to go to stores and rent videotapes and carry them home and watch them on their VHS players.
yeah,
Um,
it's the best.
um,
And if you
uh,
played video games on Nintendo 64, because the save files were in the cartridge, you could play other people's games and get past the harder bosses that you couldn't beat yourself. So, old school
yeah,
hack.
but I filled out a job application for the video store,
Yeah.
and I've never filled out a job application since then. Literally, like when I was cranky that my hours were being cut at the video store, I complained to my former manager. I was like, "Hey, my hours are getting cut. What do you think I should do?" And he's like, "Go talk to this guy at this printing company. I think he's looking to hire somebody." And I
Yeah.
got that. I sat down with the guy. I talked with him. He said, "Are Can you do these things?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Great, you're hired." Then after I worked there for 5 years, and I was told by my boss that I wasn't going to get he wasn't going to promote me to a job in the graphic design department, even if I took graphic design classes, because he liked where I was.
Yeah.
He liked having me doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I was bitching about it to a friend of mine, and he was like, "Hey, we have a job opening where I work. Come talk to my boss." And I just walked in the door after I literally had ink on me from working at the printing company. I was like, "I'm sorry, I look like this." And he was like, "It's cool. You work at a printing company, right? This is what I would expect you to look like. Here's what we need." And he told me about the job, and he's like, "Your friend tells me you're great. You'll be do good at this. Let's just get you on board." And so I got that job.
Yeah.
And I that was the appraisal firm I worked at, and I worked there as a researcher for several years, and then I became an appraiser. And then I got a job at another appraisal firm just because I knew the guy that owned it and asked him.
Yes.
And then after that, I started my first business in 2004, and I've been self-employed ever since. So literally, I filled out one job application when I was 19 years old.
Wow.
And so, like, I get it. If I say that out loud and people are like, well, then I don't know if I want you as my business coach if you've only ever filled out one job application. But I'm telling you, talking to people in your industry or talking to people in the industry that you want to be in is the best way to find work. And also, right now, it totally sucks out there. And anybody who's listening who's trying to apply for jobs right now already knows what I'm talking about. But
Yes.
what is even real anymore? Like
Yep.
there are these ghost jobs that are listed all over the place.
Yeah.
And for people that don't know, like what ghost jobs are, they're basically just market research by large corporations where
Yes.
they can afford to list on these big, like Indeed or other job application
Last
platforms
door. Yeah.
a job, and they can be like, let's for 1 week, let's list it as paying $60,000 a year, and the next week we'll list it as paying $70,000 a year, and the next week we'll list it paying $80,000 a year, and let's see what kind of if we get qualified applicants, what's the lowest amount we can pay these people?
Yes.
And so, like, people are applying for jobs that aren't they're not actually hiring, they're not even interviewing for that job, they're
Yep.
just doing market research.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is
And how
sad.
many of the cover letters are written by AI at this point? Like, is anything real?
Well, cover letters. Well, I always tell people like I will say that I'm not a technical writer. There are certain career coaches out there that are very good at those, and if you look for those, I support your choices. Um, but there is this thing called the ATS system. I think that's what it's called. I can't remember what it stands for, but it is the HR AI system that has been used before AI became more of what it is today, that we know it is today. And they are looking for certain keywords. So nowadays, your most of the time, your resume doesn't get in the hands of a human until it passes through those systems. So I
Yeah.
always encourage people for formatting like purposes, like for the sake of ease, just put it in AI and make it ATS friendly. Um, because it
I wanted to
works.
mention,
Yeah.
and please understand, like everybody, take this with a grain of salt, because I have done no research on this to confirm it, right?
Okay.
But a friend of mine just posted an article that says AI job like application filters
Hmm.
prefer cover letters written by AI.
Of course.
They'll choose those at a higher level because
Of course.
I guess it matches its own
Yeah.
internal filters. So I guess don't feel bad if you use AI to write your cover letter because that's what the AI is looking for.
Yeah. And like that hence why before when I used the resume of a marketing document, like I always advise people, at least nowadays, depending on the job, most jobs, like just format it for AI and write it in a way that makes you sound more awesome without lying or embellishing. And then I manually go in and then we talk about help them pull out how they're awesome, things like that. Because when it ends in the hands of a human, that's what you want it
Yeah.
to do. So that kind of piece. But going back to the networking piece, I think is more important is like, oh God, I think one of our friends, Kelsey said like she's actively a career coach at a university. And she said you're 16 more times likely to get a job networking. And
16 times. Yeah. Like
that was the
that
quote.
that tracks with my experience.
Yeah. And so very true. And so a lot of people, especially my techie, nerdy people who don't want to go talk to humans, I'm just like, I understand it may be challenging and also it's worth your time and energy and effort to get out there and do that. And so that's the kind of strategy. So like one of the things I like to take people through is like, how do you want to feel? Like, what do you want? When we get a list of those kind of things, maybe some values in particular that are important to you. Like, one of those questions I love to ask people is like, let's say you're at a job, what would cause you to quit? And so some people might say like micromanaging. I'm like, great. Now flip that into the positive. What would it have to be to keep you to stay? Like, oh, well, autonomy. I'm like, great. Write that down.
Yeah.
And like, that would be an example of one. And so when you get a list of those things, I use that as a filtering system. Like these are the kind of like words, language that are important to you that you might want to like particularly use AI or just kind of your own intuition or thought of like look at the company's mission and vision. And also like when you're networking, maybe they work at the company like starting to formulate questions that might help you extract that information that might align with your values and or formulate questions in interviews to help you because you won't know until you're there, really. But like, do these hit my values as much as possible? My favorite prompt I like to put online is just like, yeah, here's your values. Tell AI to be like, I want you to look through these companies' mission and vision, and then look at reviews online, the crappy ones, the neutral ones, and the good ones to see like, do they actually align with their mission and vision, and do they align with my values? And
Yep.
like, it's
I
an
love
interesting
that.
discussion that we talk about for sure. Um, but yeah, like I think one piece I'd love to briefly touch on is like how people move through networking as people who are job seekers versus entrepreneurs, I think.
Well, we've talked a lot on the podcast about how entrepreneurs can leverage networking. I think that a lot of that is about how do you meet enough new people to potentially make connections that would fill your marketing funnel.
Hmm.
Uh, that could need to happen as a job seeker, but whenever I'm advising people to network as job seekers, it's not really about trying to get a hold of the person that you don't know. It's
Right.
about talking to the person that you do know. Like, who did you go to college with that also majored in this? And
Right.
where are they working now?
Hmm.
Have you talked to them recently?
Yep.
Um, and people are like, well, I feel weird because I feel like I'm just trying to get something from them where I'm just like, hey, I'm calling, hey Bob, is your company hiring when I haven't asked Bob about, his kids and his dog.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm like, it's the same damn thing I'm always talking about when I do public speaking engagements, which is raise your hand if you love helping people, keep your hand in the air if you like asking for help. Like if
Oh,
Bob was like, "Oh, hey, it's great to hear from you. Yes, our company is hiring. Can you tell me a little bit about what you've been doing for the last blah 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 years so that I know where to direct you or I can figure out how to make you show up the best in that interview?" Bob is probably happy to help you. It's not an imposition on him because most human beings have a desire to help other people if they can.
hmm.
We just have that barrier to not wanting to bug Bob. We don't want to ask for help. But it's not about like go find out the name of the hiring manager for that company and then you send them an email like I got your email off the website and I want to work there and you tell me what I need to do or who I need to talk to. Like that's I mean, bold move, Cotton, but like that may be borderline obnoxious.
Right.
Um, but talking to people that you already have a relationship with, or even just reaching out to your close circle of friends and saying, like, could you tell me what you love about your job? Could you tell me what you love about the company that you work for?
Hmm.
And then we did this with my real close group of friends, the guys I still game with every week, and I've known since like a minimum of 19.
Hmm.
When we were in our 30s at one point, late 30s, we had a like we called it career night. Like instead of gaming one night, we're like, let's just all talk about our jobs. And we discovered that most of us were dissatisfied in some respect about where we worked. And some of us made moves and some of us didn't make moves.
Hmm.
Um, and that's okay. But it was in that conversation that I realized I did not want to um, keep being a videographer.
Hmm.
And I started, uh, looking for what else was out there for me and became a coach.
Hmm.
Um, and so, like, even if it's just starting a conversation where you talk about what you like and what you don't like about the work that you do, you know, when you tap into what you like, somebody may be like, we could use somebody like you at my company.
Hmm.
Let me see if I can get a meeting with my boss.
Yeah.
Right? Which is, again, like you said, 16 times more likely than dropping a resume down the black hole of their application process.
Yes. And I don't know the numbers on this, but I also like, I was just talking to a client before this call and they're like, well, I don't want to apply to this job because I don't want to throw it away because I don't want a referral. I'm like, I hear that because having a referral when you're on the online portal is probably going to bump it up algorithm wise. And like, it's very true. And like, if you don't know anybody to a job, I also say like, don't not apply as well.
Yeah.
That might be a
But
thing too.
welcome to LinkedIn because you can hop on LinkedIn and be like, do I have any first connections there? Do I
Yes.
have any second connections there? Do I know somebody who knows somebody who works there? And can I network my way through that chain to talk to a human being and go, I'm thinking about applying. Is there anything you think I should know? Is there
Hmm.
anybody you think I should talk to?
Hmm.
But how much that boosts your chances is huge.
Exponentially.
Um,
Absolutely.
One thing I know we're getting close on time here, but I don't want to fail to mention this. And that is, I've been doing this for 15 years. In my humble but correct opinion, uh, job searching is an inherently depressive process.
Yes.
It is a process whereby, in most of the time, even if you do things right, you're going to get more rejections than acceptances. And putting yourself out there to be judged and rejected repeatedly is an inherently depressive thing to do. I flat out disagree with anybody who says if you don't have a job, your full-time job is getting another job. No, your part-time job is getting another job, and your other part-time job is keeping yourself emotionally well enough to stay in that process until you succeed.
Hmm.
And that means you are going to need to do a lot of proactive things to maintain your mental health,
Hmm.
like exercise. Like if you are jobless, you have time, take care of your body. And you don't need to join a gym if you
Hmm.
don't have the money for that. Like you can do body weight stuff, all that, all those things.
Calisthenics.
Get outside, go for walks,
Touch the grass.
talk to people.
Hug the
It is
trees.
always inherent in that process for people to clam up because what of it, how's work? What do you do for a living? So tell me what you do.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? When you're currently unemployed, then you don't want to talk about that, which
Yeah.
means you stay away from people.
Yes.
So you become isolated, you become depressed, and then you shut down and stop sending out the resumes and applications. So if people take nothing else away from this, it's like it's better to be seeking a new job while you still have a job. And a
Yes.
lot of people are getting laid off right now. If
Yes.
you have been, take care of yourself mentally and do constantly, But if you apply for 3 to 5 jobs a week, that should be plenty if you're doing it in the right ways.
Right. Yes. Very true. Versus like 100 or something
Yeah, I know
ridiculous.
people that will just copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste and think they're doing something. And like maybe out of 100, they do get an interview.
Right. Yeah.
But that seems emotionally exhausting.
It is. As someone who has done that
Yeah.
in the past before I went into full-time coaching myself, doesn't work very well. For sure.
Anything else that you feel is important for us to land on before we wrap this one up?
Um, if you are struggling with this, reach out. We can definitely support you with this. And
Yeah,
if not us, we maybe know some people who can. Like we know it's tough out there currently right now. And you know, only you can do the thing, but you don't have to do it alone.
absolutely.
I'll say that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Let me just emphasize what you just said. Please reach out. Like maybe you'll become our client or maybe you won't become our client. It doesn't matter. If we have a chance to just talk to you and try to help you, I promise we'll do our best.
absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, and if you like this topic, maybe we'll do another episode of this. This is fun. This is like I said, this is an episode for everybody who thinks it's important. And if you like what you're hearing, oh, anything else you'd like to add, Scott, before I close it off?
I think I'm good. I mean, we could talk about this more, but we'll do another episode if
Cool.
the
Well,
mood.
if you like what you're hearing, give us a follow, subscribe, comment, and we'd love to have a guest on. And we're looking for guests. Tune in next time, everybody. Bye.
Bye bye.